up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, come on in.
In today's show, we have Shawn Buck of Stryve Realty. Shawn runs a successful real estate brokerage in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This show will be a fun one, as we're going to discuss one of Shawn's most valuable, undiscovered assets and how to increase his company's value. Stay tuned, and we will see you in the show. The Time and Money Network starts in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Time and Money Network, where smart business is done. Today is going to be a fun episode. It's literally a workshop of just two guys at a bar talking about business and how to restructure a company to have its highest valuation, because that's why we're doing this, guys, is not to have companies that aren't sellable, but to have companies that are sellable. So today, I'm very excited to produce and present Shawn Buck of Stryve Realty, and we got our little whiskey glasses. How you doing, my man? Cheers, man. So glad to have you.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. And I want to talk really quick about every business owner I talk to. I want to find out, how did they start this company? So right now you have how many agents?
71, 72 agents, I believe.
Was that 71 and a half?
I think we just signed 72 today, but I haven't checked my email.
All right, 72 agents. So you got 72 agents, and you started in what month and year?
We started January 2020.
January 2020, before the storm hit?
Yeah, so January 2020 we launched. March 12th, March 15th, the world shut down.
Yes, it did.
May 12th, we had a son.
Jeez.
So you want to talk about being in a storm. Mama was postpartum, baby had colicky, all kinds of issues, like lots of sleepless nights, lots of craziness, lots of what did I do, where are we at. It was a crazy time.
Man, that's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah.
Babies, pandemic, and businesses.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just had a baby. Well, I didn't have a baby. Obviously, we had a baby.
Right.
What was that, October of 2021?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, he's almost 1 year old. So I get it. The sleepless nights, the crying. And then every time you go on vacation, which I stopped because of this reason. Like in 2019, we did 6 weeks of vacation, and I loved it. But I literally was a Secret Service agent for my toddler.
Sure.
That's my whole goal.
Well, there's a vacation and there's a trip.
Yeah.
A trip is with kids. A vacation was without kids.
Oh, man. When you're spending all this money,
saying.
I did everything I could. The biggest rooms, the black cars, the first class. Nothing helped.
No, you bring a nanny.
Well, I tried that, but that's a whole other argument with the missus.
Well,
How are you going to have a stranger on your vacation the whole time? You have to really get to know that nanny.
you bring them with you. You're already somebody you know, like, and trust.
Right, but you have to get to know them, to trust them. And that's like a 12-month process.
I can introduce you to people.
Oh, please. This is
Gotcha.
a problem that I've been trying to
My
solve.
wife will introduce people to your wife. That's how that really works.
Love it, love it. Because otherwise, it's literally like Secret Service. It's like Poopy Pants has left the building.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing I can do.
Stranger, who's that guy?
Oh, there's a cliff 12 feet to the right.
Yep.
It's just,
Water. Wait, we're at the beach. Water.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's as fun as it can be, I suppose. All right. So we know about your company. We know about the 72 agents. But did you, like, when you're recruiting these agents, and I'm sure this is an issue, did you ever really think that you'd have to recruit 10 agents to get 1.5 that would do something?
No.
Yeah.
No. So 1%. If you make six figures in this business, there's 3 million realtors in the country. If you make six figures in the business, you're in 1% club, and that's gross revenue.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you make as much as a engineer, you're in the top 1% of agents.
Nationally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nationally, man, that's incredible. And I think, are you sure there's 3 million agents in this country?
In this country, yeah.
There's 3 million agents for 5.5 million transactions. And then the 1% do 80% of the work. I mean, I don't even think the 80-20 rule applies. I think it's 1% does 80% of the business. Like, it's really, really top heavy. So how did you handle that problem of having to recruit 10 warm bodies to get 1 or 2 to do anything?
We built a training program.
Boom. And that's what I want to talk to you about.
Yep.
And I want to kind of tell the audience how Shawn and I met way back in the day. I mean, it's been 27 days since I met Mr. Shawn Buck. And we met because I'm trying to join a country club. I mean, obviously I'll get approved, I think. I mean,
Sure.
my personality is okay. I'm sure I'll be accepted by all the people. But we just finally got our application in because you helped. You were a referral, right?
Yeah.
I wined and dined you at the
Yeah.
country club. And then the hammer dropped. We're so excited to get started because I'm a tennis player and all that stuff. And we find out there's a 27-month waiting list for this country club. Leanne, my wife, and I, we can make 2 babies before we get into this country club. We can have 4 kids instead of 2.
Yeah, COVID had a reckoning on that too.
Oh, yes, it did. The COVID-19, the 19 pounds you gain
Yeah.
after COVID.
Mine was 45.
45.
I lost 40 of that.
How did you do that? I've been trying to lose the weight.
Food only, man. I didn't work out at all. It was 100% food.
My
But you got to
cousin.
be all in. It's a mental thing.
It is.
It's
so
all
hard.
mental when it comes to food.
Okay, so when you got a rough day and it's 12 or 14 hours into a fast,
I'm going to Whataburger and I'm eating a gallon of.
That's what
Blue
I'm
Bell.
saying. Like, how do you
Straight up.
How did you get the discipline to do that?
I was in the process of having a back surgery. I have an old military injury that messed up my back, and I put on so much weight, and it was done. I had a kid. I couldn't pick up my kid. I was in a bad shape. That's a whole nother episode and a whole different level.
Exactly.
But when you get to your headspace where you're like, I have to do it. I have to do whatever it is, business, weight loss, working out, whatever it is. When you get that mental switch, you go and you go and you go, and nobody can get in your way.
It's the why factor. It has to be strong. Like, God forbid, if I ever became
You can't half-ass it.
Yeah, if I were ever single again, remember when you were single? Yeah. Like weight just dropped off, you're at the gym, you're out active and all this stuff.
Sure.
And like, what's the why now? Like,
She got me.
she got me. I got her, right?
Yeah.
Like, my business is good, my family is good. What is the reason I'm going to go through all this pain?
Yeah.
And it's tough, man. It's an interesting thing. And I've been doing fasts 5 out of 7 days.
Sure.
And because it's so slow. It's like watching paint dry.
It's awful.
It is awful.
But you have to be disciplined. It doesn't matter what program you do. It really doesn't. It's just sticking to it and doing it right.
In the Time and Money Network, the one thing I haven't figured out how to leverage or delegate is physical fitness. You actually have to put the time in, and you actually have to put the money in. So everything else you can leverage. You can leverage employees and businesses and everything else. But one thing I want to talk about is when you have a small company and it requires you to run it, you're literally a lifestyle owner. It's a lifestyle company because you're selling a job. So the whole goal is to create a company that you completely remove yourself from. And everybody wants to be CEO, right? You talk to young 20-something years, oh, I'm the CEO. My business card says so, right? That's cool, man. It's cool for a minute, but CEOs get all the problems, and presidents, they get shot metaphorically with all of these problems because you're exposed. So you want to be the senior shareholder. You want to be in the board of directors that controls the company but doesn't require your time. And that's what creates a really, really valuable company. And then when we were talking at the country club, you had mentioned you have this training platform that was absolutely incredible that can be moved to a subscription-based model.
Sure.
Can you talk about that briefly?
Yeah, so, started January 2020, March the world shut down, May we had a kid. I had to figure out how to differentiate my company and go after the target market we were going after to teach people to be multimillionaire agents in volume, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, you can't go anywhere. They're telling you can't do anything. I said, all right, fine. I'm going to do it virtually. So I built this hundreds upon hundreds of hours of different buckets, different channels, different processes, every tools, tech, system, process on how to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
I brought in other people. I got all this stuff, like da-da-da. I mean, and we just spent all that time just pumping it out, cruising, and plugged and play. Now it's just a rebranding process.
Man, that's great. And you did that because you were trying to solve your own problem, which is
Right.
how do I take the time out of training all these agents? Because if only 1 out of 10 make it, I can't afford middle management to train 10 guys, right?
Sure.
So that was the smartest thing I've ever heard when we were talking. My ears perked up like Scooby-Doo. What? Right. That's your valuable company. And, running a brokerage myself, I would want that, and so does everybody else. So, I went to a consultant a couple years ago because I thought I was hot. You know what?
Sure.
I thought my company was good. Man, I was on a yacht already in my mind. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I left that meeting feeling about 2 inches tall because I soon found out that it doesn't run without me. Right. So who would buy a company to get a job?
They're buying you.
You're buying me, right? Which is okay, but then you have to stay on.
Small X factor.
You got to stay on as a consultant for years. You're really not selling it and going on to your yacht because you're literally selling all of your benefits, and all of the risk is on you to keep it running.
Sure.
So today we're talking about how to make transactional business subscription-based business, how to repurpose every dollar, which we're going to get into deeper later in the show. Also, every business owner, obviously, and this is a controversial subject, would eliminate every employee they could when they can and as soon as they can. Do you agree with that?
98%, yeah.
That's right. It's not 100%.
You've got to have some people pushing and pulling levers.
That's right. But if a company could run without every employee running it, any employee,
Sure.
they would eliminate every single one, right?
Sure.
That's just pure logic.
It's profit.
That's profit, right? So people are the biggest impact to your growth, but they're also the biggest impact to not growing and hiring the right people. So how did you do this at Stryve Realty? How many agents did you have to actually pitch to get down to the 72 that actually joined?
So we have a pretty good conversion ratio. We're probably at 4.7% of the agents that we meet with.
Wow.
So almost 50% of the agents we meet with, we'll save them money, but we also have all the tools, technology built out, integrated, automated on their CRM, their marketing, their contract management. We fill out the contracts basically for them. Like everything's done. Go brand yourself, and then we make sure it's all compliant from state and federal regulations.
And is the driving factor?
Go do peopling.
Exactly. Is the driving factor that they get better fee base or more technology or a combination of all
the above.
Awesome.
Plus tools, training, support.
Just a bigger, better mousetrap.
Yeah, and cheaper.
There you go. Yeah. So
At the reality of the day, they save money.
Perfect.
Most people, most agents, they care about their money. They care about their pocketbook.
That's right.
All the other is like, oh, wow. 99% of the people that walk in my office, once we show them the technology, they're like, holy cow, how do you have all that? Well, I came from the IT world for 8 years before doing this.
Wow.
Highest security clearances, doing with all the 3-letter agencies. This is what I did.
Wow, that's quite a transition, man.
Yeah.
So 72 agents that are out doing their thing and then paying you a fee, and then you've removed yourself as much as possible from the equation.
More to come, but sure.
More to come. And then this technology that you created was to solve your own problem, but actually it's the most valuable asset you have.
Yes.
And then later in the show, we're going to actually talk about how to expand that. What should we charge these brokers to make it even more valuable? How to make you a senior shareholder versus a CEO, which is incredible. Awesome. So I want to talk to the audience real quick. Can you describe what a multiple is?
X factor.
Got it.
Right? So basic math, you make 100,000 profit. What's your X factor on a sell? Is it a 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x, 15x? What is that, right?
That's right.
That's your X factor.
Great. So here's an example. There's different types of companies out there. Most companies in America, so the small businesses, are what's considered lifestyle companies. They cannot run without the owner. And because of this, those companies will trade at a 2 to 3 times multiple of what is called seller's discretionary earnings. Seller's discretionary earnings is, hey, I run a plumbing company. It doesn't run without me. At the end of the day, how much money is left over for me and my family? The problem with that is, and why it only trades at a 2 to 3 multiple, is you're selling a job. Because nobody else is going to run that plumbing company for you. But on the flip side, when you're buying these type of companies, if you're good at management, an example is if you go to this website called Biz Buy Sell, there's thousands of companies for sale right now. I found a pool cleaning route. I mean, that's a great recession-based business. It had like 38 different houses. I think its earnings were $138,000 a year. Guess how much you could buy that for?
Half.
Well, actually, it was like $180,000.
Okay.
So for a $180,000 check, you could get $140,000 cash flow.
So a year and a half return.
That's right. So what's the problem with that, though? The problem is you're buying a job.
Right.
Because who's going to clean the pools? You?
So if you hire someone else to do it, maybe you get them for a lesser rate, but you still got your margins thin.
That's it. So In that example, I would say it would be 75 grand a year to have somebody clean 38 pools a year, every month, right? So what's left over if it makes 140? Let's just call it an easy 60 grand, right?
Sure.
Okay. What's so fascinating about these type of companies is if I go and buy a rental property, it earns 5% at the end of the day. I don't know if people understand that. That's how thick rentals are. It's they only earn you 5%. But if I can buy a company for 180,000 and it makes $60,000 a year after the employee, which means I'm not doing anything but batting the ball, that literally is, I think, over close to 38% return on investment. So that beats the heck out of any rental property possible. So that's what's good about lifestyle companies. When you're buying them, it's terrible when you're selling them. So let's talk about what I got so excited about Stryve Realty. I think the best value you ever have is that training platform. You've spent thousands of hours developing it, but it can be transitioned into a subscription-based revenue model. And when you have subscription-based revenue models, every dollar you take in will trade at 4 times almost of what a transactional-based dollar will trade at when you try to sell a company. So let's talk about what would be your first step in transitioning to a SaaS company, which is subscription-based, and going and getting other brokers to participate in that
So
trade.
we're already in the process of doing that.
Perfect.
So we've done our research. There's great technology out there, platforms out there. Pick your poison on how integrated or how manual you want to make it. We already have all the content. We've done, I'd call it 75% of the work. Now it's pulling it, sanitizing it, debranding it.
Debranding it.
Debranding.
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick because a lot of the audience may not know that. Oh, you got a refill.
I love
Look
it.
at that. Look at the service here. This staff is incredible. Well, shit, cheers, man. All right, rebranding. So right now he's Shawn Buck of Stryve Realty. He needs to remove Stryve Realty from the equation, and you need to remove Shawn Buck from the equation because
Correct.
if I'm another broker, what's the first thing I'm going to think if I'm buying somebody else's
I'm
training?
recruiting away your people.
That's right. So you have to have a name and a brand that has nothing to do with real estate and all to do with training.
There's a twofold approach in that.
Okay.
You can have some in there that's branded, as long as I have others from other companies in there.
Okay.
So a mastermind approach.
Got it.
And I'm going to bring in 50 other people that are high producing people that are all with other different companies and have certain buckets that have multiple perspectives in it.
Got it.
I'd say 90% of it needs to be from what we currently have, has to be debranded though.
Great. So the first step he's going to do is you're going to debrand the company. So this is a training platform that any brokerage can buy. And what problem does that solve for the brokerage?
They don't have to worry about the coaching, the training, how to do the job. It's all there. It's plug and play. They
So
can watch it 24/7.
So everything a broker hates
Correct.
is solved.
Yep.
That's what makes it so valuable. And then what would you say a broker would be willing to pay?
It'd probably be based, looking at other companies that are doing it on a subscription-based level. It's based on users, so you'd buy it in buckets of users.
Okay.
But you know, a broker at my size would pay $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Easy.
I think
That's cheap.
that's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you always, I think a broker with 72 agents that would get benefits, $10,000 a month, easily. I think. But assuming it's $250 per agent per month.
Right.
For 1 year, because what it's going to do is it's going to take brand new agents and take them all the way through the learning process, which is removing middle management from the
Correct.
equation. Because a middle manager in real estate is 150 grand a year to, for lack of a better word, babysit and train these
Sure.
new agents.
It's a lot of hand-holding
Right. So literally,
to keep you from getting sued.
correct. That's a big problem, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's take a look at the numbers and why subscription-based revenue is so important versus transactional. If you make $12,000 in profit at Stryve Realty, its value is $25,000.
Yep.
That's what its street value is.
Sure.
If you make $12,000 as a subscription on your training platform, it would be worth close to $80,000.
Yep.
So the same dollar repurposed into subscription versus transactional can raise somebody's net worth by 4 to 5x for the same amount of effort, the same amount of grief, the same amount of aggravation. You just repurposed it. So here's a play that I was talking to you at the country club about. If you, and I'm not saying do this, but if you completely dropped Stryve Realty's business model, you took those 72 agents that you have, you figured out what exactly are they averaging as far as paying Stryve Realty every single year, and then you transition them into a subscription where literally they're just paying for this platform and then getting free brokerage services, you would quadruple the value of Stryve Realty.
Right.
Just because it's on auto pay and subscription. Now, why is that important to a buyer? Why would subscription-based revenue be important?
Guaranteed.
It's
Well, credit card.
No,
I mean, for the majority, right?
Right.
You're not worried about are they buying or selling? Are they peopling? Are they doing the job?
Right.
Right. You're minimizing your waves in your monthly accounting.
Yes, you're de-risking the asset, right?
Sure.
So if you were to grow this training platform to, say, 1,000 agent-based users, not necessarily brokers, but just 1,000 users, and their average lifespan was 18 months, and you charge $250 per month. Let's figure out what your top-line revenue would be. This is important. So let me get my calculator out. Speaking of which, why do they call it calculator when we need to calculate now? That's a good one.
I got dad jokes.
All right, I got tons of dad jokes. All right. So let's figure this out. 250 times 1,000 agent base. That's $250,000 in revenue. You're going to be on a 50% margin at best after you pay the middle management, the video crew, the trainers, the salespeople are going to sign up brokerages. At the end of the day, there should be worth 50% margins. So I'm going to multiply that times 0.5. That's 125,000 times 12. That's $1.5 million. Now, how many brokers would that require? Well, what's the average broker have? 25 agents, I would say?
15 to 25.
Okay, great.
It's national average.
So if we took the 200, what did I say, 1,000 divided by 25, that's, one second. This whiskey's getting to me a little bit. I'm a lightweight. All right, so we got 1,000 agents divided by 25. Okay, we got 40 brokers. Man, you could do that in a year.
Easy.
How many brokers are in Texas?
5,000 plus.
5,000. So you have to get less than a 0.1% market share, less than 0.1% market share to solve a gigantic problem that every broker has, to have $1.5 million of net earnings or EBITDA. Now, in my estimation, and I'm not a business valuation expert, I just know what kind of these companies trade at, I think it would trade at a 12 multiple. That is an $18 million company.
Right.
Now, here's the way to look at it when you're building companies like this. I want you to take the $18 million valuation, and I want you to divide it by every broker that you sign up. And then think about what the value of each broker actually is. Not in the revenue that they're giving you, but the valuation of the actual company.
Sure.
So let's do that math. So if we have $18 million valuation, and of course these are estimates, I can't guarantee any particular results, but if we divide that by the 40 brokers it took to sign up to get the 25 agents, which then would represent the 1,000 users, that would be $450,000 a broker. So if you came to my company, my brokerage, and said, hey, I got the coolest thing ever, it's $250 a user, we'll solve all these problems, save you a bunch of time and money, and I signed up, your net worth goes up $450,000 in one account.
Yep.
In theory.
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, guys, when you're building a company to be sellable, which is very important, try to get as much subscription-based reoccurring revenue as possible and the least amount of transactional real estate. You know what's happening right now with car washes and what people are doing?
100% automation.
It is 100% automation, but what they're doing, instead of buying a $12 car wash, they're putting people on $30 a month.
Sure, subscription based.
For unlimited car washes. So then when you take the real estate and the revenue, they've quadrupled their valuation because the guy in New York City, who's a private equity guy, literally sees safety, right? And also at the Time and Money Network, we also can evaluate what companies are worth now and different metrics that will actually change its valuation. So for anybody out there who wants a free 15-minute coaching session that has no sales whatsoever, we're not going to sell you a darn thing on this session. It's a kind of a get to know you session. What are your problems? Just go to timemoneynetwork.com and get a free 15-minute coaching session. It won't have whiskey like us. It won't have the personality and the dad jokes. We're going to get down to business and actually figure out what is your number one problem that you're experiencing right now, and how can we help you solve it. So, any other thoughts for today?
People are your biggest problem and your biggest solution.
Yes, and I've been down on people too much. Wait,
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay. What are the good?
The right people in the right seats on the right train.
What makes the right person, in your opinion?
Every business owner has a different personality.
Yep, I have a terrible one.
That's all right. You got to have the yin and the yang. You got to have the person that can do what you can't.
Yep.
And it's a lot of at bats, and it's a lot of falling forward to get to those right people. You're gonna fail. Are you gonna get up, dust your boots off, get your ass back in the playing field,
Say that
and
again.
do work?
Say dust your boots off again.
Dust your boots off.
Dust your boots off.
And get to work. Like, that's it. Like, slow to hire, fast to fire. If they're not doing it, fire them.
Wow.
Cut your losses and get out.
We're talking about the good parts of people.
That's okay.
Okay.
But you're gonna go through people that aren't gonna get on your vision. If you have a vision and you dial it in, you know what you're gonna do. That vision will change. It will morph. But you got to have people that will follow your vision. If they're not following it and they're trying to make their own, cut them.
How do you handle middle management at Stryve Realty? What's the hierarchy of handling employees?
We have my right-hand gal that pretty much directs everything else in towards other people that are managing the agents. So from broker support, contract support, system support, technology, all that, she directs, and then all the others handle all the influx from the 70-plus people that have the day-to-day type stuff.
Got it. And for the audience out there, that's a great model. And what I say is it's the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule works not only for sales production, but also management. So you want employees to handle 80% of the problems that they can handle and escalate 20% that they can't. Then you want middle management to handle 80% of the 20% and then escalate the next 20%. So if the hierarchy is set up correctly, you should only be handling maybe one problem a day out of 100, right?
Sure.
So that's so important. And here's a little trick that maybe you'll back me up on this. When employees have a situation, I require them to provide the solution they think would solve it along with the problem.
I agree and disagree.
Okay, tell me why you disagree.
A lot of folks don't have a clue what the solution could be.
It's true.
So if you at least come to me with the problem out the gate, don't try to fix it yourself for 2 weeks and then come and make it a bigger shitstorm.
Yep.
I'm okay with you not having a solution.
Got it.
Don't fumble through it, because that could potentially mean lawsuits.
That's true.
And I don't want that in my business.
I agree.
If you have an idea, great. Bring something. At bare minimum, bring the problem and say, I just don't know what I don't know. And that's okay.
Yeah, what you don't know that you don't know. Don't get me started on that one.
That's okay.
So here's my favorite metaphor, and it's hard to follow, right? There's 3 different types of information. What you know, what you don't know, and what you don't know that you don't know.
Right.
So one of my favorite sayings that gets so confusing is when you don't know something, that's enlightenment.
Sure.
Because 1 minute ago, you didn't know that you didn't know.
Right.
So what I like to do, in contrast to that, is every employee who has a situation, this buyer or seller can't figure out this solution. What do I do? That's what most employees do, right? I require them to say, here's the problem. Here's what I think the solution is, so I can help them think quick on their feet. So maybe next time they solve the same problem on their feet. I'm not saying execute the solution, but just tell me what you think it is.
Sure.
Now imagine the time that you could save if you get an email that says, here's the problem, here's a solution, and if the solution's correct, you said, good.
Go do it.
Go do it, right? If the solution's bad, then that's a training moment right there to tell them, well, look at it from this prism or this angle, right?
Right.
Right.
Different perspective.
That's right. which is, I think, the key to eliminating that middle management, right?
Sure.
So what's your goals for the next 6 months? Is obviously to build up this training platform.
Sure. We're in works right now. I've got people on it. We're taking everything out. We already have. Now it's taking it and making it where the user experience is phenomenal.
Got it.
If you make a user experience phenomenal and we roll it out, when we roll it out, then it's just showing people what they have access to that they never had access to before.
Yeah, and then you do online demos just like everybody
Sure.
else, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Broker, I've got the coolest thing ever to save you a bunch of
Sure.
time and money. You put them on the platform. Risk reversal, and this is the last thing I'll comment on. Risk reversal is such a powerful marketing tactic. Sure. It's actually invented by Jay Abraham, which is an incredible guy who hundreds of millions of dollars worth of marketing, but he's all about risk reversal. So when you say, hey, this platform is X, how do you de-risk it for that brokerage?
So we're all required to have some type of mentorship, coaching program within this. So we have other things that I'm not going to discuss right here, but other ways to also add additional value to risk reduction for brokers to make sure that we are in compliance with state and federal regulations that we're all required to hold their licenses. So if you plug this in where if a new person goes rogue and does something to get sued, you can then show the authorities that your state regulations, we have all this in place. They had this added layer bolt on top of it. We did everything we possibly could do. That covers that broker's tail end.
Right. Compliance is a big thing.
And that's it.
Yep.
Right? So not just they have to handle their own paperwork, but when we show that they've been trained, it was there, it was accessible, they were told to go through it, and it had these other things on top of it to make sure their stuff was right. The broker's done, besides forcing them, which we're not allowed to do.
Right.
We've done all we can do.
That's right. So you've de-risked it for yourself and you've de-risked it for the broker by making it more compliant. Are you thinking about some kind of money back thing where if your agents don't do X, then you can get your money back after one year? There's a whole factor on signing up 56%.
Risk adverse
right.
perspective, right? Yes. How to skin that proverbial cat, I don't know yet.
It's a difficult
because I don't know
problem.
what I don't know.
Right. It's a difficult problem.
I'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah. Like what a lot of people do for these money back things is they're going to measure, okay, what did it increase sales to, and then how much cancellation did it cost, right? So a lot of times there's probably a 5x multiple on the signups versus cancellations because it's very difficult, as you know, to fire an agent, let alone a problem. I know in real estate, once you start a listing, it's very hard for somebody to cancel that agent and go with somebody else. So momentum is on your side, obviously. I would probably make a very difficult thing to measure. Like if your agents aren't 100% satisfied, then we give you your money back, et cetera, but there's so much speculation in that it would.
What is satisfaction in this world anymore?
What is satisfaction, right? I mean, you want to have a lot of integrity in your business, but it would cause them to confront explaining why the product didn't work for them, and they probably can't even explain the product because they didn't
use it.
That's right. Boom.
You lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink.
Well, Shawn Buck, thank you so much for doing this workshop, getting a little whiskey, getting a little dad jokes in, and
My pleasure, and thank you.
And talking about just how to make your companies more valuable, because your company is your greatest asset. It's not about the revenue. Every dollar you make, you got to pay the IRS, 35-40% in tax.
It's only going to go up now.
That's right. So if you get your net worth increased by $18 million, there is no tax event until you sell it.
Right.
So if he builds this company the way he should, he will literally add $18 million to his asset or balance sheet statement, which would literally increase his net worth without a taxable event. It's only taxed when you sell.
Right.
Yep. So it's so exciting stuff. Shawn Buck, Stryve Realty, 72 agents and growing. I bet he'll be at 150 agents next year. And you know why I think that? Because every agent's going to be jumping ship looking for the bigger, better mousetrap in the next 12 months. Anybody who's recruiting agents, the next 12 months will be the most fantastic recruiting year possible, because they're always going to think it's their brokerage that caused their sales activity to go down, which really it's the interest rates and the Federal Reserve. But I won't even get into that.
Sure.
All right. Well, thanks so much for watching the Time and Money Network, where smart business is done. This is Shawn Buck, Stryve Realty. If you ever want to get a hold of Shawn Buck, we're going to put some stuff on the screen right about now of where you can contact Shawn about realty services or being an agent at the right company, getting the right training platform. And if you want your free 15-minute coaching session to know what you don't know that you don't know, go to timemoneynetwork.com. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much, Shawn.
Thank you.
All
My
right.
pleasure.
We'll see you later, guys.